Not only parties, you had to rub my face on it.
Please be seated. It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the veteran who salutes the flag, who serves under the flag, and whose coffin will be draped by the flag. Written by Vaughn Walker Luke, U.S. Air Force veteran, who was born on November 11, 1935. Welcome, Ithaca students, staff, and community, and a special welcome to the veterans who are here today. Today, we thank and celebrate the sacrifices you have made for us and our country. To honor you today, Ithaca High School Band and the Ithaca Middle and High School choirs will perform specially selected numbers. Various speakers will share thoughtful pieces with us to reflect upon. To help us understand more fully, Major General Cecile Richardson will share inspiring words with us. Now, please join the kindergarten and fourth grade students in standing, removing your hats, and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
The Bravest Man I Know by Amanda Whitney. The bravest man I know is a man I've never met. He's a man who risks his life to save a friend. Not only to save a friend, life for those he does not know, stepping up, leaving loved ones behind, so that somewhere, someone else won't have to. He is a man who follows orders, even though he knows he might die. The bravest man I know is the man who would rather die, so one more person could go home to see his family again. The man who stares death in the face, but never blinks. The bravest man I know is the man who risks his life, so one day the world may be a better place for his children. Or any man who goes against his biggest fear, death, just to save someone he loves. The bravest man I know is the man who fights, so another man can have the taste of sweet freedom. Not fighting only for his own benefit, but for many others all over the world. Fighting to make this world a better place. That's the bravest man I know.
Heroes Die for Me by Jamie Burns. I look down upon this land called America. I have been here since this great nation was formed. I have seen each battle fought. I have seen the heroes die for me, for my country. Thank you, all those of you who have kept me flying in the breeze, keeping this country united as one. Thank you, all those of you who have sacrificed your lives, giving up all that I may still fly, watching over the citizens of this nation. Thank you, all those of you who have ever fought. I am ever grateful for you. You risked everything. You faced death each day, faced fear, faced many terrible things. And because of you, my thank yous ring out, filling the sky, echoing from the hills. They find their way to the graveyards. And to all of you still living, you are a special kind of person. To anyone who has ever served this country, and to those serving today, thank you. As I watch life from the top of my flagpole, as I think of all you've done, my feelings become too powerful for words, and all I can say is thank you.
Our guest speaker today is Major General Cecil R. U.S. Air Force, Ithaca. From the archives of the U.S. Air Force, Chaplain Major General Cecil R. Richardson was the Chief of Chaplains, Headquarters, U.S. Air Force, Pentagon, Washington, D.C. As a member of the Special Staff for the Chief of Staff, he established guidance and provided advice on all matters pertaining to the religious and moral welfare of the U.S. of the Air Force personnel. He was responsible for establishing an effective chaplain program to meet the religious needs of all members of the Air Force and their dependents. As Chief of Chaplain, he was the senior pastor for more than 800,000 active duty Guard, Reserve, and civilian forces serving in the United States and overseas. He led an Air Force chaplain board of approximately 2,200 chaplains and chaplain assistants from the active and air reserve departments. As chairman of the Armed Forces Chaplains Board, he advised the Secretary of Defense and Joint Chiefs of Staff on religious and ethical and quality of life concerns. Chaplain Richardson began his career as an enlisted intercept operator and Russian interpreter. He has served 2 assignments as senior prosecutor chaplain and 2 as wing chaplain. He has also served as the chaplain assignments officer and major command division chief. His senior leadership positions include executive director, armed forces command division chief. His leadership positions include executive director, armed forces chaplain board, command chaplain for U.S. Central Command and Air Combat Command, and Commandant U.S. Air Force Chaplains Corps College. Prior to his present position, he served as the Air Force Deputy Chief of Chaplains. On a more personal note, Major General Cecil Richardson served 41 and a half years in the military. Shortly after graduating from Richland Center High School, he received a Vietnam Era draft and enlisted in the Air Force. His first assignment was Syracuse University, where he received a degree in Russian language. He was subsequently assigned to monitor Russian missile launches along the Black Sea in Turkey. After a year and a half in Turkey, he was reassigned to a national security agency in Washington, D.C. 2 years later, he separated from the military to prepare for a life in Christian ministry. Cecil attended Central Bible College, the University of Wisconsin, Evangelical University, Trinity Evangelical Divinity School, Wesley Seminary. Upon ordination, he pastored a church briefly and re-entered the Air Force, this time as a chaplain. He retired in 2012. Chaplain Richardson and his wife, Dr. Jan Richardson, an author, a literacy consultant, had 3 sons, Steve, Jim, and Mike. Although Cecil and Jan have walked thousands of miles around the world traveling in service to God and country, their hearts have always been in the woodlands of southwest Wisconsin. fishing, hunting, clearing trails, pruning trees on their tree farm, and operating the forest playground for their 6 grandchildren. Please help me in welcoming Major General Cecil Richardson, USAF officer, to our school and assembly today.
If you really believed all this stuff, you wouldn't be sitting there. You'd be kneeling at my feet. Actually, it took a long time to go to biography, and I'm thankful for all my years in the military, especially thankful for my association with my fellow veterans, both men and women. I noticed as the veterans were presenting the colors that some of our students were kind of looking around saying, "What is this thing?" Well, let me explain it to the students. This is a salute. You probably do that. In a salute, you have your arms straight out like this, and your hand is straight. Some people salute like this, but that's wrong. Put your hand up like that. So a salute goes like that, like this. People salute out of respect. History says that the salute came from the days of the knights in shining armor, when they would walk around with this heavy metal on them, and they would greet one another. They would raise their right hand to show that they weren't armed and I'm not holding a weapon. And then they would lift their faceplate to show who they were. It was a type of greeting. And today a salute is just a greeting. It's a good morning, it's a good evening, it's how are you doing today? It's a nice way of treating those that you know and respect. In terms of respect, the junior person always salutes first. It's just normal respect. It's not the one person better than the other. It's just the junior person that selects first. And this is how you salute. You stand. You stand with your feet at a 45-degree angle. You can't see that. And you stand up straight like this. And then you put your hand up like this, just as straight as you can be. I'm not that straight, but I try. And if you wear glasses, you put this part of your fingers right on the glasses. If you don't wear glasses, you touch your forehead like this. When you're in formation, as some of our guys were today, you start by saying, the person says, present. And then when they say arms, then you put your hand up like that, salute. When they say order, then they say arms, you drop your arm. That's how you do it. Now we're going to practice. I'd like to ask all the students to stand. Do it also as a okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say present, and that means you get ready. You put your hands down the side, breathe out, say shoulders back. I say present, and then I say arms, you pop your hand up like that. And then, okay, let's do it now. Present, arms. Okay, the next thing I'm going to say is order arms, not right now. I want you to know that there's honor in the military community if you can beat the sergeant or you can beat the general back going down. So I'll go like that fast. See how you do it. Okay, let's do it again. Present, arms. Order, arms. Now I want the veterans present here today to stand. All veterans, if you will stand, I want all the students to zero in on one of the veterans, especially up here. Maybe the rows. But look at one of the veterans, and we're going to do it. But now we're going to do it to the veterans. This is Veterans Day. We're going to honor the veterans today. So look at a veteran wherever they are. If they're standing, you'll know that's a veteran. If they're wearing a funny hat, you know that's a veteran too. So look at a veteran, and I want you to salute them. Okay, I'm getting ready. Present, arms. Order, arms. You can tell I'm tired. Thank you for the skit that's going to come. Thank you for the band. I used to be a band member of the Christian Center, and I know band, and when you the band knows, I'll know that too. And thank you for that delightful choir music. Wow. I wanted the choir when I was in high school by not joining. That was my way of loving that. But anyway, I want you to know that I thank you. And also thank you for being here today. What an honor it is to be with you guys. I have 3 stories I want to share with you this afternoon. Story number 1, when Teddy Roosevelt was the mayor of New York, he met a young captain that really impressed him. The guy was sharp, really sharp. He had a good war with him. And yet the captain could not make major. He had been a captain for 13 years when Roosevelt met him, and he still couldn't make major. Now, normally you make major in like 5 or 6 years, but this guy, something was wrong. He just wasn't making it. And years later, when Teddy Roosevelt became the President of the United States, he wanted to promote the captain to major. You remember him. He said, "You guys really sharp, I want to promote him." But his staff said, no, sir, you can't do that. You can't get involved in promotions from captain to major. The only promotions the president can be involved in is promotion to general. And they said, "Sorry, Mr. President, you can't do that." But what they forgot was that Teddy Roosevelt was Teddy Roosevelt. And Teddy Roosevelt said, true story, he said, "Well, if I can't promote him to major, then I'll just promote him to general." And he did. And what has got to be the most radical military promotion in America's history, Teddy Roosevelt promoted this captain, directly from captain, a fairly low-level officer, all the way to brigadier general. The captain's name, his name was John J. Pershing. He became a 5-star general, the hero of World War I, and universally acclaimed as one of the greatest leaders the world has ever known. All he needed was for somebody to believe in him and somebody to give him a chance. That's one of the many things that our veterans today would tell you that they learned from the military, that the military gives young men and women a chance. A chance to be a leader, a chance to learn a skill, a chance to participate in something that really matters in this world, a chance to make lifelong friends, a chance to travel, to see parts of the world that they would never otherwise be able to see, a chance to mature and find themselves, and best of all, the military gives young men and women a chance to experience the pride of wearing the military uniform and the honor of defending our nation. Story number 2. A few years ago, I was invited to speak at America's Air War College in Montgomery, Alabama. It took me a while to learn how to pronounce that. It's really not Montgomery, Alabama. I was stationed there for 8 months. And I practiced and practiced and practiced. And finally, after 8 months, I finally learned how to say it right. It's not Montgomery, Montgomery. That's how you say it. That's how people in Alabama say it, Montgomery. Well, I was in Montgomery, Alabama, and I was asked to speak at the Air War College. And I got there early. I decided I would go jogging early that morning, so that I could clear my mind and get ready for the presentation I was going to make. So I took off running, I was huffing and puffing and shuffling away. I had already run 2 miles, I was hoping to run another quarter mile before I just dropped in exhaustion. And after I went through this one residential area, I walked by some hedges, and suddenly, with no warning whatsoever, a little boy, maybe 5 or 6 years old, a little boy about this size over here, he jumped down the bushes, and he shot me. Bang, bang, you're dead. I got shot with a stick. Bang, bang, you're dead. I looked at him, then I thought, in a flashback to my own childhood, I thought, I'm dead. So I just started staggering and moving around like this, and I walked over to the side, and I fell to the ground, kicking and moaning. And the little boy just got all wide-eyed looking at me down there on the ground. But suddenly, I remembered that I always carry an imaginary machine gun in my pocket. So I reached in my pocket and I pulled out this machine gun and I let the little boy have it. He yelled and he screamed and he jumped and he said, "You missed me, you missed me, you missed me." And I took off after him. We darted, we danced, and we laughed, and we had a ball together. He would pick up pine cones and call them grenades and throw them at me, and I'd pick them up and throw them right back. When I was a little guy, I did that all the time. As I jogged along, like afterwards, I brushed off the dirt from my grass, the grass from my, and dirt and grass from my clothes. Thank you, I'll come up here. But I was jogging along, and I thought to myself, I just made that little boy's day. And then I thought, that little boy just made my year. You see, I had become a little boy again. And when I was a little boy, I played war. I played cops and robbers. I played cowboys and Indians all the time. My friends and I would hoop and holler, and we'd shoot each other with sticks and plastic guns. We'd die and be resurrected over and over and over. Death and dying and shooting and killing were fun in those days, and I absolutely loved it. There was nothing better than sneaking up behind my best friend and shooting him in the back. But friends, death and dying and war aren't fun to me anymore. As a veteran, as a general, and as a chaplain, I've seen too much war. I've seen too much death and dying. I served 41 and a half years in America's military. I've served in 131 countries in all 50 states. I've seen horrible things with my eyes, and I've been in horrible places where I just couldn't wait to get out of. And to this day, my heart hurts for the people who still live there. I've stood in bombed out buildings with my uniform saturated with blood. I've knocked on doors in the middle of the night to speak words that no parent should ever have to hear. I've looked deep into the eyes of young men and young women who were trying to forget the things that they had seen and the things that they had done. And through it all, I developed a profound love for America's military, for our veterans. I call them my brothers and sisters in the military, but you call them veterans. Veteran is someone who has served his or her country in uniform and done their duty for America. Story number 3. 8 months after I graduated from high school here in Richland County, Ritchie Center, I was drafted into the military. Some of it was included in the bio that was so well written. My first assignment was Syracuse University, and you think, oh, the military assign people to a university right away? Well, it's very rare. They test you when you go in. When they tested me, they found out that I had a proficiency in aptitude for languages. I didn't know that, but they did, and they took my scores and they said, this guy needs to go to the university. So they paid my way to Syracuse University, where I got a degree in Russian. Then I went and lived at their expense in a simulated Russian village where we did nothing but speak Russian. And after that, they sent me over to Turkey, where I traveled the Black Sea, monitoring Russian missile launches and predicting when they would launch, and then tracking them once they did launch. I was only 20 years old by that time. I joined when I was 18. I was 20 when I was in Turkey monitoring the Russians, already having a college degree and already having learned fluent Russian. Since then, I've learned a lot of other languages, and I really said, well, the military was right. I do have good knowledge of languages. When I came back to the United States, they put me in the National Security Agency, where I became an intelligence analyst. And then I was getting close to the time when I was going to be getting out of the military, and I was offered a job at NSA, National Security Agency, to continue as a civilian. But by that time, my life had changed a lot. And I decided that rather than staying in the military, rather than staying as a civilian employee, that I would go to seminary and I would become a minister. At that point, I had no interest whatsoever for coming back to the military. I had good memories, but I thought, that's all behind me, I won't do that anymore. But when I graduated from seminary years later, and I pastored a church briefly, an African American church, then I realized that the place for me was back in the military, and I shocked myself, and I shocked others by re-entering the military, this time as a military chaplain. A chaplain is a priest, or a rabbi, or a minister, or a mom who joins the military totally in the military, wears a uniform, follows all the regulations of everybody else, but you're there for the spiritual care of the troops. I went from one assignment to another, and it seemed like they just kept getting better and better. I was promoted from captain to major, major to lieutenant colonel to colonel. And I mentioned this morning when I spoke that I just absolutely was blown away that I had become a colonel. Because when I was an enlisted guy, junior enlisted guy, I saw a colonel one time. Probably 100, 200 feet away from me. I never talked to him, I never got up close, couldn't identify the guy at all. But just to see one, I thought, wow, that guy's a colonel. And then when I got promoted, I thought, oh, I'm a colonel. And I was just standing there as a colonel. I just worked hard, that's all I did. I worked hard and devoted myself to it. But then the shock of my life came when out of the blue, just a few years later, the President of the United States nominated me for promotion to general. I was deeply honored, I was humbled, at the same time I was humbled. I was saying to myself, why in the world did he pick me? I had already had 3 Pentagon assignments by that time, various staff jobs, and I realized that if I became a general, there was no place for a chaplain to go except to the Pentagon. And I didn't want to go back to the Pentagon, I had already been there. I was a troop kind of guy. I loved being with the troops. I liked being with the special forces and traveling out with them. And I was in Iraq and Afghanistan more times than anybody who've ever met. I spent years over there. I loved hanging out the side of a helicopter and looking for downed airmen and wounded people. I would literally hang out with a table on my back, hanging out the side of a helicopter and trying to help rescue people. I loved preaching on a Humvee or in the back of a C-17 aircraft. I like counseling military people and helping them through their crises and helping them deal with pain and the strain of war. Promotion to general meant that I wouldn't be able to do that anymore, and yet I was promoted and I felt an obligation to do it. And I knew that I would spend my final 8 years of my career writing policies, giving speeches, advising senior leaders, battling over the budget. And friends, I didn't want to do that, but still, when you're in the military, remember? So it also means, yes, sir, I'll do it. So I did it. And then, shortly after I became a general, about a week after, something miraculous happened. Indeed, it was miraculous. I woke up at 5:30 on a Saturday morning. I sat up in bed real quick, and I turned to my wife and I said, Jan, I got to go get glasses. And she said, same thing you would have said. She said, you needed glasses for years. Why now? It's 5:30 in the morning. Nevertheless, being the wonderful person that she is, she got up. You know her. She's just a wonderful person. She got up with me, and we got all ready, and we went out driving around, and by 6:30 we had found an optical shop. Well, wouldn't you know? Optical shops are not open at 6:30 on Saturday morning, so we went to a Denny's restaurant. We ate breakfast, we drank coffee, we read the paper, we discussed our calendars because we both traveled a lot those days. And then we went to the garage sales, just one after another, till right at 9 o'clock, right when the optical shop opened. We were standing outside the door, waiting for the guy to open the gal with all the keys to open the door so we could go in and look at glasses. Well, she opened it up, we walked in, and I sat down, and she was showing me the benefits of bifocals, no-line bifocals, and I had this overwhelming compulsion, not just an urge, an overwhelming compulsion to tell her that I was a chaplain. But at the same time, I didn't want to tell her. I was afraid she'd think I was asking for a discount. You know, I'm a chaplain, and I 10% off. So I didn't say anything at all. And the lady got up and walked to the back to talk to her friend. And so I turned to my wife and I said, Jan, should I tell her I'm a chaplain? And Jan said, well, what difference does that make? You're buying glasses. Oh. So the lady came back out from the back of the shop, and she sat down and she started talking to us again. And it just happened to me. I just told her. And this is exactly what I did. I threw my hands in the air, and I said, I'm a chaplain. And her body began to quiver, and her eyes filled with tears. And when she was able to speak, she said words that I'll never forget. Words that changed my life and words that changed my attitude. She said, my husband's in the military, and I have cancer. And just before you came in this morning, my friend and I were in the back of the store, and we prayed that God would send me a chaplain that I could talk to. And right there in the optical shop, just a little bit after 9 on a Saturday morning, My wife Jan and I held hands with this beautiful young woman whose life was threatened by cancer, and we told her about the God who loves her and the God who answers prayer. At that moment, I recognized that even though I was at the Pentagon, I was exactly where I was meant to be, and I was doing exactly what I needed to do. So let me say to to all of you, from the youngest all the way to some who are maybe some here are even over 30 years old, let me say to all of you, I'm a chaplain. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not here to convince you to join the military. That's not my thing. I'm not into that. That's a personal choice. I will tell you that you'll have chances that you'll never have otherwise. But still, I'm not a recruiter. I'm also not a warrior. Chaplains are non-combatants. What that means is that we don't carry weapons. I've been in a war zone probably 15 years of my life. But I've never had a weapon because chaplains don't carry weapons. We don't drive the tanks. We don't fly the airplanes. We don't shoot people. We don't hurt people. We're there for the spiritual care of the men and women who stand up for our nation. But I am a military chaplain. And as a chaplain and as a general, I'm going to ask you this afternoon to do 4 things. Do what your nature doing sometime today or the rest of the week or whenever it comes up. I want to ask you to do 4 things. Number 1, stand proud when you say the Pledge of Allegiance. Number 2, sing loud when you sing the national anthem. If you're a bad singer, just sing louder and louder, louder. Number 3, be wild on Veterans Day when you speak to a military veteran, because veterans have a lot of wisdom, and it will blow you away how wise they are. And number 4, tell a veteran today, if you can, how much you appreciate his or her service to our country. That's a simple thing to do, but it's an important thing to do. And it means a lot to those of us who are veterans. God bless you, especially God bless the students. And God bless America. So that to be loved.
One gold stars in the windows of many houses. These stars are similar to soldiers who fought on any road. The blue star means the soldiers who were beaten, and the gold star means the soldiers. They may ask you to buy an artificial cotton, make them plenty, give little red flour for all, put on more than it. You can, let them get it out, simple places to put on country. But when they wait for not, they also have copies to use to help this way of life. I'm not sure what the word veteran means. Yes, there's like veteran conflict after the Navy, Air Force, Army, yes, your grandfather fought in World War II for all soldiers and anyone throughout the history of the United States got longer than and my really teachers said middle school, high school, and was being marching and stuff, but I'm here to play in the band when I was in seventh grade and marching in a grade two. Hooray! I'm going to the top. Time to get the grade five. Know it. Yes, but slow down to me, either we can help with the point. Grab the blanket now. And don't forget to play and not for each one. And so we will with a lot of things that they will drop the number of things. Just as if you watch the play, they always stand in front of the spectators and don't the way to start comes and whatever you do. Many people live small in size and lose his voice. Boys and girls, men and women, welcome to our National Veterans Day parade. Yes, keep America strong and free. Many, many people have given their lives so we can live in the United States of America and of the free and home of the brave. Thank you, and remember to thank the veterans for their service to our country. What is patriotism to me? Patriotism means to me that you passionately support your country in any way you can, and you'll be happy to do so. Patriotism means that you are proud of your country, you love your country, you are loyal to your country, and you will do only what's best for your country, never what's worse. Patriotism means that you will stand by our country through the good and the bad. To me, patriotism is having all the qualities to serve your country when needed, and putting your heart and soul into your country. You should be strong, loyal, and have passion for your country, and never even think about betraying your country. Patriotism means you support the people who fight for your country, like Air Force, Coast Guard, Marines, and Navy. Also, our everyday heroes like cops, firefighters, and the emergency medical teams. Patriotism means that you will respect your country's decisions, even if you do not agree with them. You should not commit violence when it is not necessary. You should not be a terrorist, robber, or someone that hurts anyone in any effort or your country anywhere. If you are patriotic, you will never hurt your country as well. If you are a terrorist, robber, or anyone who hurts people or your country, you do not have patriotism, not an ounce of it. The people who show patriotism are really amazing and make the country a better place to live. Always try out patriotism because it is a good thing to have. Always love your country and strive to make it a better place. Patriotism means to me that you'll stay in your country, that you love and do stuff to make it better, like protecting it, keeping it clean, and recycling, and improving your community. You should do lots of things to make your country better, like pick up trash, clean roads, and help your country when needed and serve in the military. And do good things for your country, especially when it may be in a bad state or can be in a good state. Either way, you should love your country. This includes caring for people, being a patriot. Being a patriot means that you should have all these things within you. Love, compassion for your country, and care for itself and well-being.
Thank you for attending our veterans celebration. That concludes our program. Elementary, I will make exit first. And high school and middle, it is 7 hours only. Again, thank you for coming.